Hello and welcome to our Excel spreadsheet tutorial. Whether you are new or beginner or looking to learn Excel, here is your starting point. So we are going to begin by how to create a spreadsheet using Microsoft Excel. So to do this, you just go to the bottom left corner where you have the start button, click on it, and then scroll down and get Excel. I'm using version of 2016. Once you click on it, you choose the blank workbook. Because we want to create a new one, there are many options, but just choose the blank workbook. Once the workbook is opened, we are going to learn a few parts and tools of an Excel spreadsheet. This is important so that once we start using it and applying it, we are able to use it effectively. So the workbook we have just opened, at the bottom here you can see it has one spreadsheet named sheet 1. You can add more sheets by clicking the plus sign here which says new sheet. Once you click on it, you'll have several spreadsheets. You can also rename the sheet by right clicking and then you click on rename. We can call it my first spreadsheet. Just call it my first spreadsheet. Once you write, you just tap enter. So all the spreadsheets that are down here make up what we call a workbook. Now, Excel is made up of rows and columns. The columns are the ones headed with letters. We have letter A standing for column A. Then we have column B, column C. The columns are so many, they're almost endless. There are billions of columns. If I click using the navigation bar at the bottom here, you can see there are many of them. There are so many of them. Right now we have column CJ. We can move on until we have billions of these columns. So once you have moved all that far, to go back to where you are, you just click home, and then when you click on the keyboard home, it brings you back to column A. So the columns are the ones headed with letters A, B, C, D, and so on. Clicking on a column header highlights or selects the entire column. Now we also have rows. Excel is also made up of rows, and the rows are numbered 1, 2, 3 in that order. Clicking on a row header like column 3 highlights the entire row. Now in a workbook, you also notice there are some rectangular shapes inside the workbook, and these rectangles are what we call the cells. This is where we write data. And a cell is made up of intersection of a column and a row. Once you click on one of the rectangles, like that one I've clicked there, that cell will be called cell E4 because it is made up of column E and row 4. So the intersection of column E and row 4 make up cell E4. Looking at the top here, there's a cell name box. This quickly tells you the active cell that you have clicked where you're about to write the data. So when you click any cell, like the one I've clicked, you just check on the cell box, the name box, and you'll be able to notice that it's giving you the name G6. So when you're naming a cell, we start with the column and then the row. Remember, a cell is an intersection of a column with a row, and that is where we write data. This is very important for you to remember the cell and how it is formed, because most of the work that we shall be doing, we shall be referring to the cells and their names. Moving on, we move to a collection of cells is known as a range. Like I can highlight several cells like those ones. You notice that I have started clicking from cell C4 all the way to G9. So cell C4 all the way to G9 make up a range. So it is called C4 through G9. So a range is a collection of cells. Now we have a ribbon. At the top here we have some tabs, like we have home tab, we have insert, page layout, formulas, and so on. Clicking on the home tab, below the home tab you see a group of similar tabs, and these ones are the ones we call a ribbon. So a ribbon is a section containing tabs, each with related commands and tools. So when I click home, I get the ribbon for home. All these ones that have come here, down here, make up the ribbon for home. They will change when I click insert, because I will get the ribbon for insert. So the ribbon for insert includes pivot table, recommended pivot tables, and so on. When I click home, you notice we get ribbon like cut, copy, font, alignment, number. All these are related to home. So a ribbon, as we have said, is the section containing tabs, each with related commands and tools. Now the next thing we are going to look at is the title bar. At the topmost, you can see it's written Book 1 Excel. That is the topic or the title of our Excel spreadsheet Excel. Once we save for the first time, you will notice that this book 1 will change. So this is the name given as default. So once we save for the first time, the title will change from book 1 to the name of the way you will call the file. So down here we have clicked, this is called the formula bar. This is where we write formulas, because Excel uses formulas, and we are going to see this in a short while. So remember, this is called the formula bar. Now I want us to go to how to save a workbook, and this is for the first time. We have just opened and we have not saved, so we want to see how to save it for the first time. So in order to save it for the first time, you just click on the top command written file. Once you click on file, you scroll down to save as. There are two major options that we need to choose from after clicking save as. One is the location. By location, I mean we have to choose where we are going to save our file. So we can click on browse in order to choose the location where we want to save our file. So you click on browse and you can choose an option like desktop, to save in the desktop, or to save in the documents. Preferably it's good to save in the documents, unless it's a file that you want to use very often. That is when you can save in the desktop, so that you can quickly get it. But the most common place for saving is the documents. So once you click on the location, that is documents, the next step is to give the file a name. And by default, this is called book 1. So we need to click once, and then we are going to call our file My First Excel Workbook. So we rename it and say My First Spreadsheet. We can just call it My First Spreadsheet. Now below the file name, you can see Save as Type. So because we are using Excel, if we just save it, it's going to save as an Excel workbook. But you'll also discover later that if you wanted to print it, you can change this type and change, for example, PDF. That is printable document format. So the next option is to change the type of file. If you want to save the way it is as Excel, you just leave it the way it is. If you want to print it, you can change the type to be PDF. So in a summary, I just repeat what I've said. In order to save for the first time, you just click on File, Save As, then you choose your location by clicking Browse, then you choose either desktop or documents, wherever you want to save your document. So you can click your documents, Then the next thing I've said is you click the file name, and remember we called it my first spreadsheet. Yeah, then we have said you can also change the type of file, but for now I'm not going to change it. Once you're done, you just click on save. Very quickly, you notice that the title bar has changed. It's now not saying book 1. It's reading my first spreadsheet up here. You can see it's my first spreadsheet. So that is, the title gives the title bar gives the heading of your workbook. So now we are going to look at how to key in information on a spreadsheet. And we want to start by, for example, if I want to write in the first cell, that is cell A1, I can just type a number like 1. I just press 1 on the keyboard. Then I press enter. This data becomes active once you press enter. It becomes valid once you press enter. I type 2, I press enter. So I'm keying information using the keyboard by typing the numbers, and then I press enter. Now with this kind of numbering, where you are following 1, 2 in the sequence, you can highlight the 2 cells, then click on the green dot at the bottom left, and then you just drag, and you notice that Excel is able to detect what you're doing, and it will be able to write for you the next numbers in that sequence. So if you release the mouse, you can notice that it has written number 1, 2 and continued up to 20. If you are writing the months of the year, for example, January, and you press enter, then you just hold the green dot, just the one I'm just clicking there, and then you press the mouse, you drag the mouse. You notice that it's able to detect you want to write the months of the year, and then it will do the rest for you to write up to December. Now the other important information is that if you notice you notice that some of the months are not fitting in the cell, like September. You find that the word September is not able to fit into the cell. It's going beyond cell B9. So in order to make it fit, there are 2 options, and the easiest of all is just to click between column B and column C. You have to bring the cursor to the boundary between B and C, and when the cursor changes to this sign that you are seeing, you just double click, and you notice that automatically it expands to accommodate all the data in those cells. So that is one of the options. Let me just undo. This button here is called undo, reverse to the previous action. The other option is where you just come to the boundary between B and C, then you long press, and then you manually drag the mouse until you stretch it until it's able to accommodate all the cells, the word. So you can do it manually, or you just double click. Now another important thing is how to delete a text that you have written. Let me write a number like a word like James. You notice that I've made a mistake by writing James. I've left E. So there are 2 options in order to edit what you have written. 1, you just click on the cell once. Once you click on the cell once where you have written that word which is wrongly written, you just type the correct spelling. This will erase whatever was in the cell. Once you start typing, you just type. You see it has erased everything. So you'll be able to write the word again as a whole. The other option, you just repeat. After writing the word and you want to edit or to correct that word, James, you just go to the cell itself, double click, and once you double click, you get a cursor in the cell. This will enable you to move with the arrow keys to the specific letter that you want to correct. So instead of rubbing the whole word, so you just move it between M and S, and then you put your letter E, and then you press enter. So in a summary, I've just said if you want to correct or to edit a word, there are two options. I written the word James and then I had misspelled. I said you just click on the cell once and then you type on top of it and it will be able to erase the first word. The other option is to double click and then use the arrow key to take you to where the mistake is and then you insert whatever was missing. Now to delete the text, you just need to click on the word and then you click on the button on the keyboard called delete, and it will erase everything. It will erase everything. Now we come to a very fantastic topic where we are looking at how to use formulas in Excel. So I need to erase whatever is on the screen. I will select the entire range that I've written, that is from A1 through I20, and then after I highlight it, I just click delete and it will erase everything. I want to teach you how to use formulas in Excel. So I just click on cell A1 and I type using formulas in Excel. So you press enter. We said we press enter to make the data valid. You notice that this heading that we have written, the cells, it has entered between cell A, cell B, and cell C. We want now to make this one cell. So what we need to do is just to select, to click on the word, on the cell, highlight the entire sentence, and then move up here and click on merge and center. This will combine the cells A, B, and C to form one cell so that it can accommodate the entire topic. So I repeat again. You can see that using formulas in Excel goes beyond cell A1. So in order to make it fit in the entire cell, I just drag the entire sentence, move to the home tab, click on merge and center, and then you can notice that it has become one cell. The whole of it has become one cell. So the first formula that I'm going to teach you is how to add two cells together. How to add two cells together. Addition of two cells together. So adding two cells. The first thing that I'll do is, for example, I want to add two numbers, and I'm going to write in cell A3 a number like 56. I write in cell B3 a number like 67, and I need the answer to be in cell C3. So I want to add cell A3, the number in cell A3, to the number in cell B3, and I need the answer in cell C3. So the first thing that I will do is to click where I want the answer to be, and that is in cell C3. So once I click cell C3, I am going to type the formula. Just watch what I'll do. And in Excel, the formula starts with equal sign. I type equals, then I refer to the cell that I want the addition, that is A3, just type A3, then I type plus, then B3. Now you notice that it has highlighted the two cells that I want to add. That's meaning that I've written the formula very well. So up here on the formula bar, this is where the formula comes, and this is where you can also do corrections once you have typed the formula. So remember I told you this is called the formula bar, and this is where your formula comes. So after finishing typing the formula, I just press enter, and the sum of cell A3 plus B3 gives us 123. We can practice another one to be sure that we have understood that. So we try, for example, in cell A4, I want to write 45. Then something else that I need also to tell you, when you have written A4 45 and you want to move to cell B4, you can press on the tab key in the keyboard. It will move to the right, so you press tab and it will take you to the next cell on the right. So we write 30 on cell B4, and then remember what I've said, you click on the cell where you want the formula to be, and then this is where we want the formula in cell C4. So to write the formula, remember we have said you can write it on the formula bar, or when you start typing it will just appear on the formula bar. So you click on equal sign, then you put the cell that is A4 plus B4. Then you check it has highlighted the right thing, and then you click enter, and then the formula has been inserted correctly. The next one I want to teach you is how to add number of several cells together. Adding several cells, more than two. Adding more than two cells. So let's see how we can add more than two cells. For example, I'm going to feed data in cell A7 is 34. I press tab. I put 78 in cell B4. Press tab again. Put data in cell C4, 45. And I can also put data again on cell D4. Then now we want to add the four cells, that is B4, A4, A7, sorry, B7, C7, and D7. So in order to add those cells, we just click where we want the formula to be. And once we click where the formula is going to be, we type equal sign, equals, and then we press sum because we want the sum of that. Then we click on the opening brackets, and then you now feed the first cell, which is A7. Then instead of putting all the other cells, I'll use a colon, which means through. So I put colon, and then I say A7 through, then I refer to the last cell that I want to be added, through D7, through D7. You can notice that when I say A7 through D7, it highlights all the cells that are within A to D, that is A, B, C, D. Then you put on the closing brackets like that. Then you press enter. Now once you click on the formula, the answer, it will be able to show you the formula, and our formula is saying equals sum A7 through D7. you want to do any correction, remember I've said you can just click here, and if you had included a cell you don't need, or it had left a cell, you can always correct. Let's try once more, adding more than 2 cells. That is, I put, this time I'm not going to start at cell A1, cell A8, I will start like, for example, B9. I feed data on cell B9, 43, I press tab, 25, 35, 69, 90, and so on. So we are going to add these cells I have highlighted here. So remember, we want the formula to come at G9. So my formula is going to start at cell B9 through F9. So remember what I've said, you start with equal sign. You start with the equal sign. Then you write sum. Then you put opening brackets. Then you refer to the first cell that is containing the number you want to add, and that is B9. B9. Then remember, you type through, and through in Excel is colon. So you press the colon, and then it's through F9. F9. Then you close the brackets, and then you press enter. So that is how to add more than 2 cells. Just a quick one before we move to the subtraction or another formula. We can also add these cells in a quicker way. For example, let me delete the formula that we have applied here. Once you add these cells here, you can just come to where you click on the cell where you want the formula to be, and then you move up here to where it's written auto sum. You just click on auto sum, and the Excel will just detect what you want to add, and it has written exact formula that we had typed, equals sum B9 through F9. In case it has not picked exactly what you wanted, you can always click on the formula bar and then adjust. If it started with, you wanted to start with C9, you just adjust. So that's a quicker way of doing it, by using the auto sum. But remember, it's good to learn the long way before you learn the shortcut. Then you press enter. So we can now move to subtraction of cells, which is similar to addition. So we go to subtracting 2 cells. And when you are subtracting 2 cells, let me just put numbers like 78 in cell A12. Then I press tab, I put maybe 60 in cell B12. Let's say I want to subtract 78 minus 60, and I need my answer in cell C12. So I'll click where I need the formula, then I type, just like in addition, I type equals, then I refer to the cell, the first cell, which is A12. You can see it just highlighted, minus, just click minus on the keyboard, then B12. B12. And then once you are finished, you just click on enter, and there you get your answer. 78 minus 60 is 18. You can always practice to get to make sure that you have understood. Multiplication of 2 cells. I move to multiplication. Multiplication of 2 cells. Now let me write 2 numbers like in cell. Let me start with B15, with 45, and in cell C15, I write maybe 34. So I want to multiply 45 times 34. So in Excel, in order to do this, you just start again with equal sign, then you refer to the cell that is B15, and times, we use the asterisk button, the one I will use, which is found just in the same button with number 8. So I press the shift and then press the asterisk button. That is the one that is used to mean multiplication. So B15 times C34 times C15. Yeah, you can see it has highlighted the right cells, that is B15 times C15. Don't forget that multiplication we use the asterisk button. Then you press enter and it has multiplied that. We can also choose one which has decimals, like we can write 0.78, then we press tabs, and the next cell we put 45.67. So we click on D16 where we want the answer, then we type equals, then we refer to the cell which is B16 times, remember it's asterisk button, then C16, we multiply, then we press enter, and it gives us 35.6226. Maybe you need only 2 decimal places. Excel is able to round off automatically these decimals. So you go to the home tab and you move to the ribbon number, it's written number, then here where it's written decrease decimal, you just click it once and you can see it is rounded off to 3 decimal places. Clicking on it again, it rounds to 2 decimal places. If I click again, it will round it to 1 decimal place. If I click, it will round to the nearest whole number. To return the decimals, I just click on increase decimal. So I click once, it makes it to have 1 decimal. Click it twice, it gives me 2 decimals. So that's about multiplication. Now we move to dividing 2 numbers. Division. Dividing 2 numbers. Dividing 2 numbers. So in order to divide 2 numbers, for example, I first put the numbers that I want to divide. Let's say I want to divide 800 in cell A19. Then in cell B19 I can put 20. I want to divide 800 by 20. So I need the formula at cell C19. So I will start by typing equal sign. Then I type cell A19. Sorry, cell A19, not 18. Then divided, we use the stroke, the forward stroke button, this one. Then we click, we type cell B19. You can see it has highlighted properly. If you check in the formula bar and you so check what it's highlighting, then you press enter. So 800 divided by 20 is 40. Now just to remind you that if I just wrap this formula, you can use the auto sum. So for now, practice on what I've given you, and in the next lesson I'm going to teach you how now to feed in data that has some values that need to be added, sum by finding the sum, average, and so on. So thank you very much for watching my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, comment, and share with your friends.